Hey, what's up, guys? Tony here, and it's that time of the year again. It's spring, baseball's back, and MLB content is back. And I actually want to go ahead and talk about a number of things about the new MLB 18 The Show. First thing is, I realized, when talking to a friend of mine, that this is the 10th year that I've actually been playing the show. I started in 2008 on the PlayStation 2 and quickly began playing every single year. I just couldn't really get enough of the show. And while my video production doesn't reflect my dedication to the series, I do play the game, I want to say almost every day. I started a franchise last year that obviously didn't record, played 2 full seasons of it, and played some Road to the Show, and really just kind of waited to get into an inspired mood to make videos again. And boom, here we are. So let's get started. There are some things that they've changed with the show that I think are really interesting and actually really like. So on your player, when you're creating the player, you can actually start to manipulate more of the features and not just have preset faces and preset like hair color, stuff like that. There's a color wheel. There are options to move and change the way your character looks, and kind of like a Mass Effect kind of style. Gives you just more ability to control the way your character looks and to make it look more like yourself. I generally don't fuss about that kind of stuff, so I don't really use it very often. I actually pretty much just use the presets, mainly because I think I don't really care what my character looks like, because when you play in the game, you really don't see their face. Like, the only time you ever really see their face is when, like, you're on the scoreboard or something like that and you have your stats next to you, and very rarely, if ever, do I ever actually look at it. In this game, it's a little different because they have sort of an RPG aspect. I'm going to call it RPG light aspect to the Road to the Show this year. The other thing that I do like is that your animations, you're able to change the animations. So you can do the generic stance, or you can do any one of the stances that are in the game, and you can manipulate certain aspects within a certain range. Like, it'll tell you like when the bat's hitting your body, or if the elbow is like in an awkward position that wouldn't work, and it puts it back to center. So some of the animations you can make more changes than other ones. You know, typically if the animation is already kind of at an extreme, like for instance, like a Craig Counsell sort of a stance with his bats like way up in the air, really can't go any higher than that. And I think the way the stance works too, if you try to bring the arms down, it doesn't bring it down in such a natural fashion that you can do it. Like, it'll just sort of like manipulate it and make it look awkward, because it's sort of a base stance that gives you only a certain degree of change. So moving on from the actual customization of the character, the other aspect that they've done now is they've, instead of allowing everybody to go ahead and make their character like a 99 everything, they've decided to introduce what's called the archetypes. So they're baseball archetypes. Every position, pitchers, infielders, outfielders, they all have an archetype. And so with this character being a pitcher, you know, I was looking at the difference between like a flamethrower or a control expert or whatever the other ones are. And so because I like to be a dominant, sort of hard-throwing, high strikeout pitcher, I picked one that was more attuned to that. I think that's really cool. I really do like that. I like how they set caps. They set performance points caps for certain categories. Like, your player will never be better than this. And I like that because it's a give and take. You're like, okay, I want to have, you know, a plus fastball, but to get a plus fastball, I'm sacrificing control or movement. And I like that. I really like that, because there's no such thing as a 99 player. And so for a game like Road to the Show, I think that's fantastic. I really like that as a good grounding. Just like, here's your character, do the best you can, and but here are the limitations. And I think that's a fantastic idea. So after you pick your archetype, you move on to the showcase. I think it's the Bowman Showcase, if I remember correctly. I always forget the name because you only play it once and then you get on with the show. But the Bowman Prospect Showcase, and it's interesting because, you know, it's a little different. They've got like they've got some things they run you through. The pitchers, you do pitch location, you try to hit your spots basically with all your different pitches, and it's always so frustrating with Road to the Show because, like, even if your release point is perfect, you can totally miss, and it's always been one of the most frustrating aspects because I've long held the belief that your your throw meter should determine how good you are at spotting your pitches. There's a variability in there that I just don't like, and it irritates me to no end, because you just never really know where your pitches are going to go. I think that's kind of it. It's like, as a former pitcher, if I'm going to throw to, say, the outside corner, if a lefty's up and I'm throwing to the outside corner, if I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss way outside, because I don't want to miss over the heart of the plate. So when you're trying to throw that outside curveball and it goes right down the middle of the plate or inside, you're just like, what the shit? Like, you're a professional player, and while your control might not be perfect, it's not the control of a high school kid. You know what I mean? Like, those are the things that have really driven me nuts about pitching in the show. But after that, you play your 2 games. It's not 3 like in past games. They only have you play 2, and you go into your draft, and boom, you're drafted. And great. So basically, that's the road of the show, the creation sort of in a nutshell. Like I said, I love the fact that there's new customization with the characters and the look and the hair color, and the hairs, of course, like, looks amazing now. It's like they keep, of all the things they keep doing, they really keep working on hair. It's like been their big thing for like the last 2 or 3 years. So that's it. I like how you can change the animations. I really think that adds a little bit of depth. They've added a ton of home run animations. Some of them are ridiculous, like the celebrations. There's stupid bat flips. Like, I'm like anti bat flip. I think it's the most disrespectful thing for a hitter to flip a bat after hitting a home run. And then the way they do some of them, it's like, that's so ridiculous and bonkers. And it's so, like, if I was a pitcher and I had a dude throw the bat way up in the air after hitting a bomb, I would drill him. Every time I saw him next, I would hit him every fucking time. Like, I cannot stand that. Like, that's my personal, if you like bat flips, cool, have out all the bat flips you want. But for me, I hate it. The other home run celebration is like when you're rounding third and you come home. Some of them, there's like a guy, he rolls. Like, he does a roll to touch home plate. And it's like, what the hell? So that's another thing. It's just like, it's a lot of showy stuff. And I mean, it's like video games, so they want it to be a little bit more like loud, a little bit more in your face. And I get it. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I get it. And then the Bowman Prospect Showcase it's just kind of there. You see for the first time, there's an optimization problem. There's a lot of stuttering that happens when you're playing in this. And then it kind of dies down, you get into the season. You'll see it every now and again. I think the patch they did on release might have ironed some of the kinks out, but there's still a lot of stuttering. There's a lot of performance issues. And maybe it's because it plays better on a PlayStation Pro. I don't know, because I've got a launch PlayStation 4, which you would think that they will optimize the game for the lowest common denominator, the base PlayStation 4. Maybe not. I don't know. But I see a lot of stuttering, and it's just really frustrating. So while the Bowman Prospect Showcase is cut down, they've added, obviously, like I said, they added sort of the scout, the training aspect. So, like, as a hitter, you're hitting, you're going through batting practice, basically. And as a pitcher, you're going through your repertoire of pitches and pitch location and stuff like that. So those are just, like I said, those are just missions that they had in previous games that would earn you performance points and whatever. And then you got your 2 games. And it's just like, it's okay. I mean, there's really nothing there that's particularly exciting because it's a showcase. And I don't know. It just feels like at this point, it's kind of a part of the Road to the Show experience, and it's nothing that's really exciting. And it's just kind of like, it's something you just have to get through. It would be great if you could just skip it. One thing I would love to do, I think this would be great if adding Road to the Show, is if they added a season where you're playing like at a college level, or instead of like the Prospect Showcase, if they did like 8 games like at a high school level, and that was your showcase, and you were drafted based upon your performance in high school rather than 2 to 3 games that they have in the Prospect Showcase. I think that would be a better way to do it, but whatever. I don't make the games. I'm just saying, as a fan, as someone who's played for 10 years, this is what I'd rather see than the showcase itself. I want more investment. I think that's what it amounts to. Like, I want more investment in the character that I'm creating. They've added some RPG elements. They've added some question and answers that really, from what I can tell so far, don't really do anything. You can be the humble player, or you can be the overconfident player, cocky player, or you can kind of be a middle of the road player as well. So you got like these 3 or 4 choices, and you just pick whatever one that you want, and it just sort of develops apparently your character's personality. But the interactions don't come up very often. And I don't know, so it's just kind of like it's like maybe it's the baby steps for something that's going to be greater and bigger in the future. I don't know. So overall, the game is pretty much what we can expect. I mean, it's a baseball game. The goal of the game, at least the road to the show aspect, is to get your character from the minor leagues to the major leagues, and then ultimately to the Hall of Fame. And it's doing that in an interesting and new way. Now, there's certain aspects of the new performance system that I'm not going to get to in this video, but I do want to address sort of fully in another video and talk about my gripes with it, because I do have some gripes with how they're managing it. But I do like how they've decided to make a fundamental change with Road to Show to give us a new experience. I just think that there's a middle ground that could be found. So more on that later. But anyways, hopefully you guys are enjoying the new game. Road to the Show is what we're talking about now. So if you guys are enjoying it, please let me know in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I shall talk to you guys later.
2 quick strikes, and now the 0-2. Again, he sends it out of play. The 0-2 once more. Hit out towards second. And there's one away.